Hey guys, Carl Gentile here, top real estate professional down South Florida, serving Palm Beach County, president of the Gentile Team over here with eXp Realty. Just wanted to touch base. We got week 5 going on of our podcast, talking about real estate investing, how you can get involved in it, what you need to do, and more importantly, how to make money doing it and not lose money doing it. Right? It all comes down to risk, reward, and basically, essentially, it's you got to monitor your risks. You have to truly analyze your risks and make sure that you're not putting your money in jeopardy, and what you're doing is a smart decision. Over the past few weeks, we've been talking about how to analyze deals, how to find deals, different things like that, how to calculate cash flow, different terminology that we use in the real estate investing game. And this week, I just want to quickly go over, we're going to go over the top 10 real estate investing mistakes. Like I said, one of the most important things we have to do in this business is, minimize our risk. And by knowing and more importantly, learning from the mistakes of other people, that's going to be your best way. I forget who said it, some great psychologist, but, basically what he said is that, smart people learn from other people's mistakes. Most people learn from their own mistakes, but really smart people learn from other people's mistakes. And that's kind of what we're going to go over today, and make sure you don't do some of the things that most people are doing in this game. And rule number 1, or mistake number 1, I guess we're going to go over, is most people plan as they go. Do not do this, right? You need to go into this real estate investing game with a plan. You can't just hop into it one day and say, you know what, I'm going to buy an investment property and just go buy something. You have to know truly what your goal is. You need to be educated on the market, educated on the game, educated on your properties. Figure out and understand what your strategy is, what your investment criteria is, and then go for that. Don't stray from it. Go for what you're trying to do. Mistake number 2 is thinking you will get rich quick. There is no game out there that is a get rich quick game plan. Right? Everyone hopped into Bitcoin because they thought they were going to get rich quick. What happened there? Right? Tumbled. Unless you got in at 2 cents, but that's a different story. So that you can't do that. Real estate is not a get rich quick game. Whether you're flipping properties, you're buying income producing properties, this is a long-term play. Whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's going to be different for everyone. How quickly they get involved, how great of cash flow and properties they grab. But it's going to take time, right? And a lot of people get discouraged. What are you going to do? Making $500 a month is not going to be a get-rich-quick game plan. So understand that going into this. Rule number 3 is playing Lone Ranger. I don't care how smart you are, how hard of a worker you are, you just cannot do this game on your own, right? So it is so important, especially in all aspects of real estate and even all aspects of life, is hustle on the networking side of things. Right? The more people you know, the bigger your network is. I think, the famous saying, your network is your net worth. Right? And it's so true. So, if you're getting into this real estate investing game, you really need to rely on, a top producing broker or sales associate, whatever it is. Get a network of them. They're going to be the ones presenting you properties. You can't find everything yourself. You need to have people presenting them to you. Outside of that, you need to have rock solid banks and lenders, mortgage professionals, title attorneys, real estate attorneys, a great inspector, great contractors, property managers. You need all these aspects in line before you get involved. Because if you try and get involved and you can't do all these things yourself. You just can't do it alone. So make sure to build a team, work together, and that's going to be the best way for you to grow and make sure you don't make a mistake along the way. Rule number 4, this is a super simple one, paying too much. Right? If you go into this game, you're going into an income property or even a property you're trying to flip, and you don't know the numbers and you pay too much, you're going to lose profit and you're going to lose money. So simply know the numbers. That's going to kind of play and touch on mistake number 5. Right? Mistake number 5 is skipping your homework. Right? So I guess the best analogy we're going to look at is we're going to relate this back to medicine. Right? So you wouldn't think you're going to get you're qualified to perform open heart surgery without years of education and training. It's plain and simple, right? And that's the same exact thing here for real estate investing, right? If you want to be truly good at this game and take it far and build, serious wealth that a lot of people have, you need to be educated, right? Get some books, listen to these podcasts, listen to other people's podcasts, get as much information on the market you're looking at, educate yourself, understand the market, and continue to learn, right? This is a constantly evolving game. Real estate is always changing. It's never the same day in or day out. So really educate yourself along the journey and make sure that you're constantly on top of the market. All right, so that's going to be rule number 5. Rule number 6 is going to be, ducking your due diligence. Okay, the way it works, a lot of times, especially if a property is going to come to MLS or hit the market, really good properties are always going to move fast, right? Because you're one of a million real estate investors out there, probably with similar criteria, looking for similar things at similar markets. So a lot of investors have to move quick on properties, right? But just because you have to move quick on a property to tie it up doesn't mean you have to skip your due diligence, right? You should know going into it. If you're looking at a certain market at a certain price range for a certain number of units, for a certain number of doors, for a certain number of beds, all these numbers should be calculated. You should know what the taxes are going to be going in on a $500,000 property. You should know what the maintenance is going to be going into that. You should know what your interest rates are going to be if you're pulling a mortgage on it. You should know what your rental rates are going to be, right? So you really need to have all this information prepared, lined up, and good to go when you get into this game. Because if you don't, you might move quick on a property because you think it's a great deal, but in the end, your numbers don't line up. Inspection period's over, and you're out your deposit, right? And now you got a property that's not making good cash flow, and it's going to set you up for some time. Rule number 7 is going to kind of play along that, and that's misjudging your cash flow. I had a broker come to me the other day, and he said, "Hey, Carl, I know this is your market, this is your territory, your neighborhood that you farmed, pretty heavily." And he said, one of my clients is thinking about buying this property. And I said, "That's great." And I said, "Well, what's his goal? He's an end user. What's he trying to do?" He said, "Well, he wants to use that as an investment." And I said, "Okay." And I know that market pretty well. I know the numbers there. And the broker said, "Yeah, I was talking with the lender, and it looks like he's going to make like 8% on his money." And I kind of chuckled to myself, and then, that knowing that's not accurate at all. It's not remotely accurate, right? I told him, I said, "Well, hey, let me do this. Why don't I take my spreadsheet, I'll plug the numbers in for you, and let me send it to you so you can see my numbers." And basically what happened is, on my calculations, he wasn't even calculating 1% of return. He was getting 0.38% return on his money, and that's cash on cash. Now that's anyone that's doing this or has done this, looking to do this, you will know that is a terrible number. If we're looking on cash, I'm not looking at anything under 8%, and more so, typically not anything under 10%. So that's, if you're misjudging your cash flow, if you don't understand, what your expenses on a property are, right? If you're not calculating vacancy rates, most people don't calculate vacancy rates. Someone is going to move out at some point, and it's going to take some period of time for you to get more income through that property. If you don't have these numbers set up and ready to go, or you forget to input, you forget to calculate taxes or maintenance, things like that, that's going to affect your end result, your end numbers, and eventually, your return on that property. So again, know your numbers. I'm going to say it 1,000 times. It's never going to change. Next thing we're going to look at, mistake number 8, is lowering the volume. Right? Most people, they get into the game, they're all gung-ho. They buy their first property, they love it, they see that cash flow. They buy their second property, and they keep thinking, "Oh, we're going to keep going. And then they get kind of compliant in that, right? And the things that they're doing every day, the prospecting, they're looking for deals, they're reaching out to people, things like that, they get tied up doing other things. And that comes down to, building your network. So if you're trying to do it alone and you're not delegating some of these tasks out, some of the really important things that you need to be doing every day fall to the side. And now that pipeline of properties, deals that you had stacked up, it quickly diminishes. And that's for all business, any type of sales. That's for all business. If you stop the prospecting, the important things you need to be doing, that pipeline dries up, and quickly that volume's gone. And now Now, all the good deals are gone and you're buying marginal deals and your returns change quickly. So again, guys, don't lower the volume. Stay on top of things. Always be prospecting. Always be looking for more. Even if you don't have the income to buy it, keep looking, keep prospecting, because more is going to come from it. Rule number 9, or mistake number 9, I guess, is going to be painting yourself into a corner, right? So what happens is most people buy property and get stuck with it because they only have one exit strategy, okay? They're either going to sell or they're going to rent it. But what happens if they don't sell it? What if the rental market stalls, right? What happens when things change, right? So you always need more than one exit strategy, right? Going into buying a property, you have to plan long term. Like I said, we do not buy a property for 1 month or for 1 year. We buy it for multiple years in this game. And we have to know how we're going to eventually exit, get rid of that property, move on to bigger and better things, all right? And then last but not least, mistake number 10 I'm seeing all the time is, miscalculating estimates. And that's going back to our numbers, guys. If you're estimating your numbers, right, if we're acting quick on a property, quick due diligence, things like that, never estimate lower than you think it might be. And a lot of people do it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but a lot of people estimate lower. Always estimate on the high side of things. Double the price if you have to. Double the amount of time spent, right? Because things are always going to take longer than you think. If you think, we're going to do a roof in 2 to 3 days, it's not going to happen. It's going to take 6 days, 7 days, 14 days, right? Always plan longer, okay? Right? If you're calculating your mortgage, you're calculating interest rates, tax rates, go higher. Because if the numbers work then, they're going to work damn well when it comes to the real thing and the numbers are actually lower. So guys, really again, everything's going to come back to the same situation. Be educated on the market, know your numbers. If you don't do these things, you're not willing to do these things. I think Ty Lopez said, he called it, or one of the guys Ty Lopez talks about said it. He said, it's called assiduity. If you're not willing to put your ass in a chair and learn, someone's always going to be willing to do it and they're going to beat you. So educate yourself, know the market, know your numbers, and get ready to dive in. If you do all these things correctly, you minimize your mistakes, you minimize your risks, real estate investing is a great way to build long-term wealth. But just make sure you do it properly. All right, guys, this is week 5. Closing out top 10 real estate investing mistakes. Again, Carl Gentile with the Gentile Team down here in South Florida. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Carl R. Gentile. Follow us, stay up to date. We'll be doing this every week, keeping you posted. And get out there, and we'll see you soon.